So we take stock after the big moves in markets yesterday, the risk-on rally, the global sell-off in bonds. What are the prospects, actually, that the optimism we saw in markets yesterday bear out in terms of these trade conversations?
Well, we do think that we've made some important steps towards the deal or phase one of that trade negotiation process. And we certainly think that a meeting will take place between the two presidents, President Trump and Xi, where we're going to have that agreement finally put into place. From that point of view, we would expect risk assets, risk-correlated currencies, even commodity currencies exposed to China to continue to hold firm or actually appreciate further into year-end. And I have to say that a big part of that assessment is also the fact that the markets are still quite hungry for good news. We had a really bad year in terms of economic news, in terms of trade war concerns, and now it seems like it's time for a bit of a respite for the markets.
It's interesting that you say markets are hungry for good news, because I wonder how much the actual detail of phase one will matter to markets. Will it simply matter that there's phase one and it doesn't matter the extent of the rollback of tariffs, or if they're even there at all at the end? Is it just getting to that phase one that's going to push risk assets even higher?
Well, I guess the direct economic impact of the tariffs has been, I guess, not as great as was the overall impact on business sentiment, in particular in the U.S., in China, from the prospect of further escalation in the conflict. So from that point of view, I guess the details may matter, but my personal assessment would be what will matter more for the market is whether really after the conclusion of phase one, there'll be further scope for renewed escalation, for renewed hostilities between the two. And talking to clients, it seems that the assumption is that once phase one is done, there may be a period of time before we get a renewed concern, really renewed evidence that the trade tensions may resurface again. And that is really the key. So from that point of view, I guess what is quite important here is really what the signal is going to be after phase one. What about the other issues? What about intellectual property theft and all of that? To what extent the Trump administration in particular will be willing to revisit those before the presidential election? And I think provided that those issues do not resurface soon enough, I think that the rally will have more legs. We have further to go.